Hey, happy Monday, everybody. I'm just back from a conference. So good. And I've just got like all these crazy ideas. So, for everyone, welcome back to the Usable Marketing Podcast. I'm Ginger Zumaida. What's my name again? I'm Ginger Zumaida. And what I wanted to share with you today is a little exercise that I think is really important. It's kind of one of those like critical pieces that some folks just blow past way too fast. And that's, what is your market really? Like, are you fishing in the right pond? Do you know who your market is? And a really great exercise for this is a red ocean, blue ocean. I'm actually prepping for a meeting that I have a client with tomorrow where we're going to go through some persona exercises. We're then going to go through a red ocean, blue exercise, because before we do everything else, in marketing strategy, kind of understanding who your market is and where they are and why they are your market is more important than anything else. So, excuse me while I take a little sip of water from my new 2 Comma Club thermos thing, whatever that is. You can ask me about that later. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got my little whiteboard here, and I'm going to try to kind of show you where my thinking is at in terms of why you need to understand the red ocean before you put your offer together for your blue ocean, right? Like, that's your special sauce, your value proposition. But the only reason you even get the opportunity to talk about your special sauce or your value proposition is because you first understand this other thing. I can't express this more resolutely. Is like, this is the thing you have to get before you start everything else. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if I can point you down at my little whiteboard. You're not gonna, gosh, is this gonna work? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, I'm gonna move it a little further, and I'm gonna lift this up so you can see it as I write. But here's what's interesting about the red ocean. Let me start. Actually, let's start with this guy. This is why you even create a red ocean, okay? Here, let's see how good my drawing can be. That's supposed to be like, there's a little fish, okay? Let me draw it a little bit bigger so you can see it. There's a fish, right? Now, what happens to the small fish, or the big fish, it actually doesn't matter, when all the sharks are hungry? It creates a red ocean, right? Because what happens is all of these sharks smell the fish. The fish in this kind of metaphor represents, this is the thing that people are already shopping for, right? They already want to buy that thing. So hungry shark, right? Hungry shark is like, oh, let me get a bite of that. And then another shark figures out like, oh, what? There's a fish, it's feeding time. Let me get a bite of that. 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 And then you've got, what happens is it turns into the red ocean, right? So you kind of understand that basic premise. Now, what's important to understand about this, and the reason it's a red ocean, is because that little fish, that fish here, it's the thing that everybody already wants, right? That's what creates this market. Someone created something represented by this fish. Everyone's like, I want a piece of that. I want a piece of that. And they go to that. That is the market that you actually need to harvest your market from, right? But what happens is, as more and more sharks / buyers come and want to feed on the fish, what eventually happens is you get this thing over here, I'm going to call it, which are the complaints. There you go, the complaints. Everybody's feeding on the fish. At first it's like, great, we've been hungry, like, give me some of that. But then all of a sudden they start to go like, well, I just didn't get enough for me. That wasn't completely satisfying. Or, you know, I really like a bigger fish, or I like the smaller fish, or I like the boneless fish, or I like the spice fish, or whatever. They start to have this list of complaints because it's like, this is getting boring. I don't want to do this anymore. I want something a little bit different. Now, whatever this list of complaints are, whatever starts to fill that list of complaints, that is what's determining what is going to allow you to come over here. That's not very dark, but come over here and create your blue ocean, okay? So what you've got to figure out is the reason it's so important to go to look in the red ocean first is because in here, you already have qualified customers, right? You know that all of these guys, these are potential buyers of yours. And you know that these guys are already buying. They already wanted to come to this thing, so they're pre-qualified, right? But what happens is after they do that, they find out it looks good. Everybody's going there, it looks good. After they start to kind of feast on that fish, they may come up with a list of complaints, and that starts to define what they no longer want. They're like, I like it, but, right? Is I like it, but. And from this thing is where you start to draw people off over. This blue is terrible. It's where you start to draw people off over to your blue ocean, right? So what you've got to try to figure out, and this is the research that you have to do. First, you need to figure out who are all of the companies, right? The companies that make up this red ocean. Inside this red ocean, there's more than one fish, right? There's a couple of fish here that people are like, I may go to, I'm just trying to think of, you know, let's say you need an email marketing tool. Well, I could use MailChimp. I could use Constant Contact. I could use, God, I'm forgetting the name. Another one. There's all sorts of people. You know, I can use Drip. I could use, there's all these different flavors of email marketing. And all of those, if you've got an email marketing solution, like that's the red ocean, people are going there. What you need to do is you need to first figure out how big is this red ocean? If it's big and there's a lot of people coming in with little variations like SendGrid, like we do mass email, or MailMonkey, it's super easy for anybody, or I mean MailChimp, it's super easy for anybody, or whatever that is. But once there start to be like little variations of how you can do it, then you start to know there's opportunity there. And what you've got to figure out is, but what are the complaints in the red ocean? And when you can figure out those complaints, that's what starts to help you understand, first of all, your customers' needs, right? Their needs, and eventually your val prop, right? So your homework, if you're kind of working on your market, your homework is to, back to me again, your homework is to, you know, I just had a client do this last week, like go and figure out who are all the people in the red ocean, right? That are your market right now. Here's another important thing. How are they describing what they offer? Really pay attention to that. What are they saying in social? What are they saying on their website? If you have an opportunity to sign up for their email, which you should always sign up for competitors' email, what are they saying in their emails? Like, how are they describing this offer that they're giving, right? So you want to find that out. And you want to look at all of the channels. Another important thing, how are they pricing their offer, right? Like, they're saying, I'm going to give you this value for this amount of money in this structure, whatever happens to be. You want to actually get as informed and as educated on your red ocean, because that's where you're going to go fishing and pull people over to you. You want to get as educated about them as possible before you really finish designing your offer and kind of finishing off your value proposition or your brand promise, right? When you do that, you're going to start to go like, okay, this is what people are buying, meaning you're going to start to understand, you know, these are the complaints that folks are having that all of these different companies are trying to solve. And I talked about this last week, like reverse engineer. Modeling is an important thing, but I was thinking about this exercise that we're going to go through. Wanted to give you a little bit more about what I mean with red ocean. Look at the fish in there. The fish, having fish in the red ocean are the indicator that you are in a market that can bear fruit, right? You can make money from their market because they are already opening their wallets and already spending. So if you figure out like what their list of complaints are and you can start to offer a solution to their complaints, all they're going to do is take that money that they've been spending someplace else, spend it with you. You don't want to be too far out of whack with what that price should be. I'd say go up. Don't go down. Try to make your price higher, right? You're offering a better solution, one that they haven't been able to find yet. So it should cost a little bit more than what's on offer in the red ocean already. And so that's it. Hey, listen, all of these pieces, if you've been following me, you know all of these pieces fit into the comprehensive marketing strategy, the way I do marketing with my clients day in and day out, called the Marketing Canvas. And if you want to learn marketing, I hear from people all the time, I'm like, but I'm not a very good marketer. Well, it's not that difficult. It takes practice like everything else. You weren't able to ride a skateboard until you tried a few times and then you kind of got the hang of it. The first time you hit a baseball, it was probably unsuccessful. And if you were like me, the ball was on a tee and it wasn't even moving, right? But then you get the rhythm and you start to get it. And if you want to get the rhythm of marketing, you want to learn how to do it, go download the Marketing Canvas. There's a free guide that I put in terms of how to do all of this. You can go get it at freemarketingcanvas.com. Okay, that's it for today. I will see you tomorrow.